blow them up. President Trump tonight threatening to attack a key U.S. ally using those three words as a threat against a totally new country on his target list. The country is Oman. So here's what Trump said to Oman, that U.S. ally along the Strait of Hormuz.
We'll watch over it, but nobody's going to control it. That's part of the negotiation that we have. They would like to control it. Nobody's going to control it. It's international waters, and Oman will behave just like everybody else, so we'll have to blow them up.
That's the president of the United States, the most powerful man in the country, in the world, saying that. Now, Oman is the country that mediates many American negotiations in the Middle East, hostage negotiations, transfers, war and peace, Central and the Iran negotiations, and it's a military ally. One of the major Omani ports is used by the U.S. Navy, and Trump is now threatening to, quote, blow it up. That comment surprised even Fox News.
President Trump became the first American president that I know of to ever threaten to take military action against Oman, saying that they have to behave like everyone else or we're going to blow them up. Not quite sure what that was all about.
He seems stunned, appropriately so. The thing is, though, Oman now joins a long list of countries Trump has threatened to blow up, as President Trump has now talked about attacking or seizing 1 out of 13 countries on the planet, according to analysis by our own Aaron Blake. This is just a small sample.
Are you ruling out U.S. troops on the ground?
No, I don't rule out that. I don't rule out anything. We just have to take care of Venezuela.
China's running the Panama Canal. That was not given to China. We're going to take it back, or something very powerful is going to happen. One way or the other, we're going to have Greenland. Colombia is very sick, too.
So there will be an operation by the U.S. and
It sounds good to me. I do like the O Canada, right? It's a beautiful thing. I think we're going to have to keep it for the 51st state. Cuba's a mess. It's a failing country, and they're going to be next.
And they're going to be next. And then, of course, there was the threat that stunned the whole world on Easter Sunday against the people of Iran in April, when Trump posted, quote, "A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again." And now Trump is increasingly casting about for any kind of an off-ramp for the war, which now is entering its 4th month. A war he says is being prolonged because Tehran is trying to drag it out until the U.S. midterms.
They thought they were going to outweight me. You know, we'll outweight him. He's got the midterms. I don't care about the midterms.
Elena Treen is out front live outside the White House to begin our coverage. And Elena, look, Trump missed his son's wedding because he said a lot was going on, and then he said there was a deal with Iran. That was a few days ago. And now there doesn't appear to be a deal, and he's threatening to blow up a whole other country along the Strait of Hormuz, the American ally Oman. I mean, what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, this is just another example of a lot of the whiplash, Aaron, we have seen in the comments the president has made. Just 4 days ago, I'd remind you that he argued that this memorandum of understanding that they were working on was largely negotiated. Today, saying that he's not satisfied with where things stand. But I do want to go and focus on those comments about Iran, because just such an extraordinary threat that the president issued today against a close partner of the United States. They have a strong military alliance. And also, Oman has really stepped up in a crucial way as a mediator in these talks between Washington and Tehran throughout this entire negotiating process. So I think a lot of people were kind of stunned by what he said today. I will say I did talk to some people as well in the administration who said essentially they thought at first maybe he misspoke, that perhaps he was referring to Iran. But then you saw the State Department actually come out at the conclusion of the cabinet meeting and amplify that comment, that remark about Iran from the president. Now, also, I think what is essential to understanding about all of this is it comes as well as we know that a lot of these different Middle Eastern countries, a lot of the United States allies in the region, the only reason really people in the administration believe that they are as far along on this framework deal than they have been throughout this entire ceasefire is because of countries like Oman, like Saudi Arabia, like the UAE, who have really stepped up in the last week or so to become far more involved in these talks. So just an extraordinary threat, again, that we heard from the president today, Aaron.
All right. Thank you very much, Elena, at the White House. And out front now, Robert Kagan, top foreign policy expert and author of a series of articles in The Atlantic right now, arguing that Trump's endgame in Iran amounts to surrender. So the issue with Oman, okay, the president today threatening to blow up Oman, key U.S. ally, as we laid out, right? Blow him up. Did that sudden threat out of nowhere surprise you at all?
Yeah, it's shocking. I mean, I suppose we are not shocked by anything Donald Trump says these days, but this one is pretty shocking. As you've pointed out, Oman is a long-time ally of the United States. I think we have a friendship agreement with Oman going back to 1833, if I'm correct. And what signal does this send to the other Gulf states that regard themselves or have regarded themselves as U.S. allies? So if you step out of line with the United States and the United States threatens to blow you up, I think this is all part of what we're seeing right now, which is the Gulf states, which were reliant on the United States, have now decided the United States is not trustworthy. And what they're going to start doing is what Oman is doing, is cut a deal with Iran. They're all going to cut deals with Iran.
Does this have consequence?
Of course it does. I mean, right now, look at what the United States is doing. On the one hand, the United States is withdrawing its security guarantees to its allies. We are pulling our forces out of Europe and we are abandoning NATO and made it very clear we're not going to defend them. We've also made it pretty clear that we are, maybe not going to be supporting Taiwan the way we used to. And in general, are not as opposed to China as we were alleged to be before. And that means that our Asian allies now can't rely on us. So that's on the one hand. And on the other hand, we're looking like an aggressive imperialist power that can't wait to invade another country. So what is the world to make of that? What it sees is what you could call a rogue superpower. We've got enormous strength, but we are not using that strength in the service of a world order. We're not using that strength in the interest of stability. We're using that strength in the interest of grabbing land, grabbing oil, grabbing money. It's really quite a shameful situation for the United States to be in.
Oman will behave just like everybody else, so we'll have to blow them up.
Yeah, let's not do that. we like the Omanis. They're good people. We have a free trade agreement. We got basing rights there. We're good.
I'm not really sure what that is all about, but I guess it's worth noting that Trump has now threatened 1 in 13 nations on this planet. The 15th time he's threatened a country since, I guess, he became president this second time around. I mean, is the answer to, I guess, if it's a nail and you've got a hammer, the only thing that you can do is just use the hammer?
Well, first of all, Abby, I want to tell you that you are the best host of all hosts. We've never had a better host in CNN history.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
The world would be in a worse place were it not for you. You've made everything better.
You can keep your job a little bit longer.
So, I mean, Donald Trump clearly is not going to win any peace prize. He got the FIFA Peace Prize because he kind of bribed his way into that. But I mean, the guy doesn't have any sort of foreign policy chops, and so his only way to handle conflict is to talk a big game, and then when the big game doesn't pan out, he's got to do something to deliver. So he's got conflict now in Iran. He's trying to negotiate what's going on with Ukraine, which he's been away from that. He's just got out of Venezuela a few months ago, and he's still kind of negotiating what's going on there. He's threatening Cuba at the same time. Meanwhile, he's got our allies wondering what's happening with Greenland and Canada and threatening to invade Mexico. And there's never been a president in my lifetime, maybe in history, who has been so disastrous in terms of international relations.
I'm joined by Middle East expert AJ Helia, joining us from Cairo. AJ, great to have you with us. I want you to just expand on Oman's role in this region and why that underscores the confusion around Trump's comments and threats towards Iran, which I think has taken everyone by surprise.
Thank you very much, Eleni. Always a pleasure to be on your program. And to those celebrating, Eid Saeed Mubarak Alaikum. I think the issue here is that Oman is typically thought of and is a very key U.S. ally in the region. It's a very important ally, not simply for the United States, but for many countries in the West. It doesn't have really enemies, to be quite frank. I mean, Oman has managed to situate itself quite well in terms of being a country of mediation, of dialogue. So it's quite extraordinary to see them being singled out in this way. There is, of course, this very clear concern around the Strait of Hormuz. It's a concern that the rest of the Gulf also shares, including Oman's allies in the GCC. But the idea that they would be, attacked or bombed as a result of any of this is really quite extraordinary, and really came as a shock. I don't think just to the Omanis, but to everybody in the region. I don't think people expect that this is actually going to be taken seriously, but it's quite extraordinary to see it come out of the White House in any case.